Ginseng didn't transplant well, but it was better than leaving it here to get trampled by all the people who'd arrived to remove the body. It was a pretty place to die. Chapter 2. Mick Hardin awoke in sections, aware of each body part separate from the rest, as if he'd been dismantled. He lay on his arm, dull and tingling from hours of pressure against the earth. He shifted his legs to make sure they worked, then allowed his mind to drift away. A few birds had begun their chorus in the glow of dawn. At least it hadn't been a bad dream that woke him, just birds, with nothing to do yet. Later he awakened again, aware of a terrible thirst. The sun had risen high enough to clear the tree line and hurt his eyes. The effort to roll over required a strength that eluded him. He was outside, had slept in the woods, with any luck not too far from his grandfather's cabin. He pushed himself to a sitting position and groaned at the fierce pain in his skull. His face felt tight, as if stretched over a rack. Beside him, 3 rocks formed a small fire pit beside 2 empty bottles of whiskey. Better the woods than town, he told himself. Better the hills than the desert. Better clay dirt than sand. He walked slowly to a cistern at the corner of the old split-log cabin and brushed aside a skim of dead insects from the surface of the water. Cupping his hands, he drank from it, the cold liquid numbing his mouth. He'd read about a scientist who talked to water, then froze it and examined the crystals, which changed depending on what was said. Kind words, uttered in a gentle tone, made for prettier crystals. The idea sounded far-fetched, but maybe it was true. Humans were about 60% water, and Mick figured it couldn't hurt to try. Nothing could hurt much worse than his head, anyhow. He plunged his head into the water and talked. When he needed to breathe, he lifted his head to gulp the air, then shoved his head back in the barrel and spoke. He spent the evening telling himself terrible stories about his past, his present, and his future. A circular system that confirmed his wretched sense of self, requiring alcohol for escape, which fueled further rumination. Now he struggled to find generous things to say about himself. As he spoke, bubbles rose to the surface, and he tasted dirt. The third time Mick came up for air, he saw a vehicle at the edge of his vision and assumed it was something he'd imagined. He wiped water from his eyes. The big car was still there, and worse, there appeared to be a human coming toward him. Worst of all, it was his sister, wearing her official sheriff's uniform. To top it off, she was laughing. "What do you want?" he said. "Oh," Linda said, "checking on your hygiene in general. Looks like you're bathing regular. Taking a bug bath, that's what Papa called it. How you doing?" "Feel like I've been shot at and missed, shit at and hit." "At least your head is clean." Mick nodded, the movement sending stabs of pain along his body. His head felt like the top of a drum tightened bolt by bolt until any pressure might rip his flesh. He'd overdone it, all right. "Coffee," he said. "Want some?" He went in the house, water streaming along his torso and light blue chambray work shirt. He filled a blackened 4-cup espresso pot with grounds and set it on a camp stove, a propane tank with stabilizing fins, and ignited the flame. Linda inspected a tin pitcher of water for bugs. "Where's this from?" she said. "Pawpaw's well?" "How long you aiming to live out here?" "I need to change clothes." Linda nodded once, a single curt movement of her head she used with most men. Everyone had their little ways, their routines. Mick's were odd, a product of living with their grandfather in this cabin as a child, followed by 14 years in the Army. He'd been a paratrooper, then joined the Criminal Investigation Division, specializing in homicide. Linda moved languidly about the main room as if the space itself rendered time obsolete and slowed her motion. A homemade shelf bolted to a wall held the treasures of Mick's childhood: a trilobite, the striped feather of a barred owl, a mummified bullfrog he'd found in a shallow cave, a rock with 3 horizontal sections that resembled half a hamburger. Her grandfather had tucked blankets around her and pretended to take a bite. A moonlight ration, he called it. Linda grinned.